Well, the Gujarat government has signed 3 memorandums of understanding in Gandhinagar on Thursday for the manufacture of semiconductors. And Gujarat is poised to manufacture the country's first semiconductor chips by December 2024. And this has been confirmed by Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw. And he in fact mentioned this during his interaction with the media in the vibrant Gujarat Global Summit. The MOUs were signed during a semiconductor and electronics seminar with the Korean substrate maker Symtech company. Apart from this, the agreements were signed between Micron Technology Incorporated and Nantech Power Systems Private, as well as Cisco Systems Incorporated and Nantech for skilled manpower development as well. Symtech has applied for the scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electronic components and semiconductors initiative, which will offer them 25% capital subsidy. The Symtech unit will be constructed in a land parcel of 30 acres in Sanand, which is close to a Micron unit. During the vibrant Gujarat Global Summit inauguration, Tata Sons Group Chairman N. Chandrasekharan also mentioned the company's plans to establish semiconductor fabrication in Dhulera and begin construction by the end of 2024. The project is currently in negotiation stage. He said that the Dhulera fabrication announced by the Tata Group is also an important milestone, and the 2 MOUs signed during the day with Nantech will deal in the development of skilled manpower in the country. Training has started at the Malaysian Micron plant and Mohali Semiconductor Laboratory. And now we're going to jump into this discussion. But first up, let's listen in to what the minister had said.
2024 में पहली मेड इन इंडिया मेमोरी चिप गुजरात में माइक्रॉन के प्लांट से निकलेगी. आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. स्पेशल थैंक्स टू यू एंड योर एंटायर टीम. थैंक यू माइक्रॉन. 90 दिन के अंदर अंदर ये साहब आपका बहुत बड़ा इस सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन के लिए इतना बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन है, जिस कंट्रीब्यूशन का मूल्य जिसका मूल्य हम लगा नहीं सकते, तोल नहीं सकते, माप नहीं सकते. आपके इस काम से हम सबको, जो भी दुनिया में किसी भी सेमीकंडक्टर कंपनी के साथ बात करते हैं, we can say with pride that we have governments, we have organizations which can execute our Prime Minister's vision.
Let's deep dive into this amazing news that's coming in. Dr. Sharat Kohli, senior economist, joins us on the program. Group Captain V.N. Jha, former joint director of DRDO, also with us on the show. Mr. Arun Mampazi, semiconductor expert, with us on the program as well. Last but not the least, Mr. Mohit Saraf, semiconductor expert, also joins us on the show. Dr. Kohli, I'll begin with you. Well, this is no small feat. You know, the semiconductor industry and the semiconductor supply chain has been ruling the world for decades now. We saw some impediments and interruptions during COVID-19, and those impediments and interruptions have still not smoothened out to the way they were pre-COVID days. But now, if India is jumping into this mold, what kind of a jump start is the economy going to get? The Prime Minister just yesterday once again reiterated, Dr. Kohli, that India is confident. In fact, the Prime Minister used the words once again that I'm going to give you a guarantee that India is going to be one of those top 3 economies. How is this particular strand of news that you've just heard about the semiconductor industry and the first semiconductor being planned in India likely to proliferate this economic growth to the next level?
Well, thank you, Vineet, and good evening to all the NewsX viewers. It's indeed very, very heartening because, I put it this way, that semiconductor manufacturing in India has been spoken about. In fact, on your channel, we've discussed it many a times, and over the last couple of years, it has remained in a semi-finished stage. We saw one proposal coming from Vedanta, which did not go through. Then there was another investment. Then there were a few which were on the table. But then somehow they were not pushing through. I'm glad that something very concrete has happened, and this, I'm sure, is going to move forward. We all know semiconductor is a very high capital or very capital intensive industry. You need $2 to $3 billion for the minimum for it to take off. It is also not very environment friendly because it needs a lot of water and the waste being generated has to be taken care of. So there are a lot of bottlenecks, and it requires very highly skilled labor as well. Which was also a challenge. Some of the investors who came to India and some of the international companies who really wanted to set up, they had this issue that we don't find skilled labor. So I'm sure the news piece that you were reading that takes care of training aspect also, that you need to train the labor. As far as the market of semiconductors is concerned, Vineet, more than $500 billion of market across the world, a host of opportunities for manufacturers within India and outside India. I think this will bolster the economy within India, because India, when it comes to laptops, when it comes to mobile phones, when it comes to automobiles, India is gradually becoming a hub of these items, where you need these chips the most. Of course, you need it in so many other things as well. But these are some of the very high volume industries where the chip is required. So I think not just the domestic production will get a boost, but also India will become a major exporter, because not all countries can afford to manufacture semiconductor. We know that Taiwan TSMC has got a monopoly as of now, literally a monopoly, now if not a complete monopoly in terms of semiconductors. And I think this is great announcement, and I'm really fascinated by this vibrant Gujarat concept. Suddenly, you find this is becoming a conglomerate of all the, businessmen from around the world, more than 30 partnering countries, more than 130 delegates from across the countries, so many fintech and other local startups and local industries coming in. And things are not just happening on papers. It's actually converting to business. So this is not a where, we used to hear from the opposition, there's a lot discussed, a lot of MOUs signed. But when it comes to ground level, when it comes to putting them to action, nothing much is seen. Well, this is quite unlike in vibrant Gujarat, where you see everything being discussed, everything being signed by way of an MOU, will get into action. So I'm very excited to hear that by December 2024, we will have our own, semiconductor domestic fab chip being manufactured, which is very exciting news. I'm sure all the electronic manufacturers in India, they must be happy. The Indian exports have a reason to feel happy, because we're already doing $775 billion per annum of export. And this is really going to provide a boost. So all in all, great news. And as I said, I would like to repeat that I'm really fascinated by what Vibrant Gujarat is doing. It is proving to be the Davos of the East, as some of the media agencies have termed it as. Vineet.
Right, that's a good analogy. It's the Davos of the East. And Group Captain Jha, the semiconductor industry concentrated in certain parts of the world, and that monopoly, that hegemony has obviously hurt India and the world to a large extent as well, and particularly because of China and Taiwan. How is this new dependence on India that India wants to create and wants to in fact facilitate likely to benefit the world a lot more than we actually expect it to?
Thank you very much, Vineet, for the question posed. For a long, India has been trying to come to the reality. Semiconductor today has been ruling the world, whether it is in the chip form, whether the lithium ion batteries. Lithium is the basic ingredient, and that is where India has been having the Achilles heel, in spite of having huge reserves, whether it is in J&K, Jharkhand, Karnataka, some more places. We have those reserves. The only thing is that we haven't had the capability to extract the material from the ores that we have got it. So if India has to be Atmanirbhar, we have to extract those lithium, and from those lithiums, there are plenty of markets which will be there, for which till now we have been dependent largely on China and Argentina to some extent to import those lithium, from which now we are buying to make the semiconductors, chips, and the battery as well. So I'm seeing, as a totality, that now India is taking big leap into manufacturing lithium-ion battery. This 40 gigawatt lithium-ion reserve battery is one which is coming up there in that lithium semiconductors. That is coming gradually into, earlier there was a SEPA, comprehensive economic partnership with the Korea. in which lot many chips were to be made. There we are lacking. It was having a type of capability of about $10 billion worth of economy. I'm sorry, it has not geared up there. Almost about one fourth or so is unused there. So now we are looking at India coming to the terms for initially making the lithium ion storage batteries, making the chips as an industry, which will be not only meeting our own requirement, which presently I think stands at about 13.5 thousand crores rupees or so. It will be growing up and growing up very steeply in the coming future. So there is a market. There are right now whatever lithium we are getting from abroad, that is now being put into the use in making the chips, in making the lithium ion storage batteries, and now the reserves are also going to be exploited soon, sooner than later that we can think of, whether it is JNK or whether it is Jharkhand, Karnataka. So looking at the totality of the picture, I think it is a big step today in Gujarat, where in Dholera this capability is coming up, and Tata will be taking a leap into that. So welcome. It is towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat that we must become Atmanirbhar in those areas of batteries, storage batteries, lithium-ion batteries, as well as the semiconductor chips, with the indigenous production of lithium in the coming years that I am looking at. So compliments to Government of India for taking up this step. Vineet.
All right, Arun, your first thoughts on hearing what the Union Minister had to say. It's heartening to see that this is a dependency that India obviously was battling with and combating with for a long time, and now this is going to be a ground reality vis-a-vis the vision of the government, which is Atmanirbharta.
Vineet, I'll probably start off with a couple of negative notes and hopefully end with a positive note. First of all, Group Captain V.N. Jha, sir, lithium has nothing to do with semiconductors. Lithium-ion battery technology is completely different. Semiconductor technology is quite different. Secondly, when the minister says that by end of 2024 there will be made in India memory chips, made in India memory chips, what actually is going to happen is that it's only the packaging of the chips. The fabrication of the chip is going to happen elsewhere, and the chip packaging is hopefully going to happen in the micron plant in Gujarat. But that itself is a good first step. However, there is already memory chip packaging happening, claimed by Sahasra Semiconductor. So in a way, the minister is telling a half truth, but let it be. Compared to the last 30 years, there is some progress, in what's happening in the semiconductor space. The other MOU signed also, for example, Syntech is not a semiconductor plant. They supply components like the substrate and maybe the PCBs that are needed to package the chips. So let's look at these in the right context. Having said all of this, as I said, it's a good beginning, and to me, the most exciting announcement of all that has happened in the Vibrant Gujarat Summit is Tata's committing to or saying that they are very close to announcing a fab. What are the details of it? Whether it's a silicon-based fab, whether it's a compound semiconductor fab, do they have a technology partner? Because as the Group Cabinet said that 75%, 25% of only the 25% of the $10 billion incentive has been utilized. It is because so far the government has not approved any proposal for a silicon fab, which in turn means a dependable technology partner, either in joint venture or the technology transfer partnership. Tata's announcement, I hope they have a solid technology partner, and that is what I, personally, I will consider as the most important announcement in the Vibrant Gujarat Summit, assuming that it will materialize and the central government will approve it. Final word on this, we have lost about 30 to 50 years in the space of semiconductors. So overall, it's a very positive development that there is so much of attention given. At the same time, we have to be very careful in not hyping it. India is far, far from being a hub. Let's make our baby steps first and then slowly progress to a reasonably big market shareholder in the world of semiconductors. Thank you.
All right, Mohit Saraf, the semiconductor industry is a booming one. Nothing of value in terms of communications and travel or what have you, operate without a semiconductor today. And this is obviously a global dependency which has been concentrated only to a few countries. How is this also an opportunity, according to you, for India?
I think clearly we require $55 billion of chips, semiconductors in next 2-3 years. And that is an annual requirement. And if we can start manufacturing, fabricating a part of it and assembling it, we'll be closer and it will be a positive thing. But having said that, I think I must echo what Arun said. I was part of the delegation which the finance minister took to West Coast and visited the applied material and micron technology companies. And absolutely the correct position is the technology providers are very few. They are very reluctant and concerned about ecosystem in India, whether it's human capital, whether it's environment, because it needs a different type of an environment and ecosystem, with no fluctuation of electricity, 24/7 electricity, clean environment, clean air, a lot of challenges. Having said that, if you think about it, what Micron has committed is more assembly and testing, not fabrication. Clearly, Tata's commitment, because Tata's, when they make a commitment that they will set up a fabrication, that's a very positive thing. Having said that, we must realize that fabrication presupposes technology, availability of technology, and typically you do not find that easily available technology in a joint venture. Having said that, Tata's has a history of getting technology and able to do that. They've done that with Boeing. So there is a very, very positive thing. Otherwise, if you look at the Micron technology, they are setting up a 100% owned unit. There's no technology transfer, there's no sharing of technology, all those things. So really, India is not becoming a hub. It is just a first step, but a very important first step. What it will do, and I recall when I wrote the electricity law for India, and that time nobody wanted to put meters. And the electricity board said that we don't want to put meters because what is the point of putting meters? Because nobody will pay for electricity. And the World Bank expert says that if it can be metered, it will eventually get paid. So what I'll say is it's the same thing. If we start assembling and if we start testing, eventually it will get fabricated. It's just a first step, but a very significant first step. And we should compliment the government. We should compliment the government that in spite of a lot of reluctance, the government has been at it for last 2 years. And now we are getting closer to at least assembly and testing and possibly fabrication. But again, we should not confuse it with India being a hub and exporter. I think India will continue to be a big importer. They will start doing part of it. And we are a long way to go. I think sometimes we get overexcited in our expectation and we start believing that it is just a simple thing. And technology provider, I think I was also involved with Vedanta, Foxconn, JV. Technology providers are very few, and therefore, and the IPR regime, intellectual property regime, also brings a lot of challenge for people to provide technology to joint venture companies where they do not control it. So there are challenges. Having said that, I would say clearly government wants to create an ecosystem. These are very significant steps. And I think overall, I'm very confident that all these things will add up to where we'll probably get to $5 to $10 trillion economy. But nowhere we are becoming a hub and exporter.
Dr. Kohli, any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
Well, if there is no top to optimism, there is no bottom of pessimism as well. I need to be very forthright in mentioning that. I would suggest my panelists to confine to their own thoughts rather than sounding critical for a discussion, which we are doing in a very positive way. The glass is half full or half empty. And I'm surprised that they paint a picture where they first they appreciate and then they say there's nothing of that sort which is going to happen, which is extremely surprising. I mean, people who think of the growth of the country, people who think they should also speak in the right earnest, that if a baby step has been taken, obviously I never meant that we have started exporting $1 trillion.
Mr. Kohli, we are not talking.
Please do not interrupt. Please do not interrupt.
We are not talking. You should not comment on others. You should not comment on others.
I did not interrupt.
Okay, one second. Mr. Mohit, let him finish his point. Let him make his point. He didn't interrupt you. Right.
He's got no right to speak in between.
Okay, all right. Mr. Saraf,
speak in between.
Mohit, he did not interrupt you. Let him finish his point. I'll allow you to come back. Go ahead, Mr. Kohli.
So, when we are talking something from an optimistic point of view, that this baby step wasn't taken for all these years. I never meant that, we have started exporting $1 trillion of chips and, the whole world is looking at India as TSMC. Of course, I never meant that. I know what has been signed. I know what has been discussed. I know what is technology transfer prerequisite for this. But then the fact that we have reached this stage today from the point when we had nothing with us. The whole idea of discussion is not to mislead the viewers. We are not misleading the viewers. Our viewers are educated enough to understand what an MOU of this kind means, what is an assembly, what is a fab unit, what is a technology. People do understand. I presume and assume that NewsX viewers are very, very educated. What we are trying to do is we are trying to put on record our appreciation for the steps which have been taken by the government, for the steps for the investors who have shown their willingness to come forward for this very, very tough industry. It's a very tough industry. We all understand that. That is what I meant. I never meant, that we've become a hub, and I said we might become a hub. So why should somebody be so pessimistic that India can never become a hub? We are too far away from that, So I think the glass is half full for me. It may be half empty for somebody. As I said, if optimism has got no top, pessimism has got no bottom as well. You can deep dive into it as far as you can. And, I've seen people who deep dive into pessimism, they sink into depression as well. If you go by the rules of psychology, I don't mean to be specific to any of my panel members, but a general perception is that I think what I said was that Vibrant Gujarat has become a platform where even decisions which are very tough in terms of economics, business, finance, investment, and feasibility, even they are being taken today. I mean, the platform has become one such platform where, things like semiconductor can be discussed, whether it is assembly, whether somebody is going to, just package it, whether somebody is going to probably still look for the technology transfer partner. I think that is not the point. Is that a baby step has been taken. It is very, very positive. And I still feel that India is on the road to becoming a hub. Let me put it in inverted commas because that is what the objection was. Yes, we will become a hub of semiconductor in very near future, Vinny.
All right. Mohit Saraf, please go ahead. Respond now.
I think it's very unfortunate. We are all making comments. I don't think we ever thought that Mr. Kohli is the anchor and we are commenting on him. We were all commenting on what we believe.
Well, he already said that response was not specific to you or any of the panelists.
No, but I also said the same thing. I said I complimented the government that it is a very difficult environment. It's not an easy thing. I told about 2 years back I traveled. I complimented the government and I said it's a great step and it's a great ecosystem. I brought all the aspects of it. So I don't think I really care about what people are commenting. I care about what I understand and I'm commenting on. So therefore, clearly, I did not even mean to. I don't think the center of the universe is Mr. Kohli and we have to comment on his comment. I'm commenting on the issue of semiconductor, not what his comment is. And again, I repeat again what I said, that it's a very challenging industry. It's a monopolistic industry. It has a lot of ecosystem required. 2 years back, we had a very different level of excitement when we visited the West Coast. Today, we have a much different level. It's not a small step. It's a very big step. It's not a baby step. It's a very big step. But we are far from being a hub. That's all. It's a very large step. In my personal view, I did not even 2 years back when I went with FM, I did not even expect that we will get here. But it's a very large step, and that's the reason when Tatas say we will set up a fabrication, We believe that they will get technology, and we believe that they will get ecosystem. So it's a very
All right.
significant thing.
Okay,
And
appreciate. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. It obviously puts things into perspective as well. And definitely, we all share the enthusiasm which was shared by the Union Minister. And this is obviously a big game changer that we all should be celebrating as Indians.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.